Will there be a coronavirus vaccine and will it be effective? I want to look back at the experience of the polio vaccine. In the early 1950s, there was panic in communities whenever someone would come down with polio. Parents would bring their children out of the public swimming pools and out of public places and bring them home and isolate them for fear of this. There was a race for a vaccine, and the vaccine was produced in about 1955. The vaccine was effective, and people lined up in the streets to get this vaccine. We still give this vaccine today, and what can we learn from it, and from how did it benefit us then, and how does it benefit us today?
I have a grandbaby. The grandbaby is about 3 weeks old. And in a few weeks, that baby will go to the pediatrician and they'll be offered a polio vaccination. Now, is that polio vaccination going to do my grandbaby any personal good right now? The answer really is no. There's no polio around here. In fact, there's only a couple countries in the world that still have some polio. Um, but we're slowly getting rid of polio in the world. What if that baby, my grandbaby, didn't accept and their parents didn't give them a polio vaccination? He'd probably just fine. There's not much personal benefit, but there is community benefit, because as we keep vaccinating, we keep isolating this virus to very small pockets of the world, and eventually we're going to take a devastating virus 60 years ago and eradicate it. And not just that we're 60 years later eradicating, over those 60 years, the amount of death, the amount of illness that we've averted from vaccinating has been huge. My aunt, Becky, she was a wonderful woman at 16 years of age, came down with polio and spent months in the hospital.
Because of the paralyzing effect of the virus on the nervous system, my aunt couldn't breathe for herself, and she spent time in an iron lung like the ones you see here. Her arms and her legs were weakened so that my dad actually had to carry her out of the hospital when she was discharged. This painting is called Christina's World by Andrew Wyeth. The girl in the painting had polio and was a neighbor of Andrew Wyeth. You see her thin arms and thin legs, and she's leaning forward, looking towards the house and the horizon, probably because she couldn't walk there. This is a picture of my aunt after polio.
If she could have had a vaccination in 1953, she would have taken it. It would have been a huge personal benefit. So right now, my grandbaby is going to likely take that vaccination, not for his benefit, but to prevent somebody else down the line and maybe in another generation from getting it. Now,
There are several companies right now racing to produce a vaccine against COVID-19 disease. I think there'll be one in about a year. I think when it comes out, we'll be able to look at studies and we can talk about rationally, is it safe and is it effective? We'll have the numbers to look at. But don't just think about your personal benefit. Also think about the community benefit. Right now, I wear a mask to the grocery store so I don't expose the clerk at the grocery store to what I might potentially have. In the same way, I'll take a vaccine so that I can be protected against the virus, and I can in turn protect all those that I'm around from coronavirus.
why should you take a coronavirus vaccination? Sometimes it's for the greater good. Jesus told us that there's no greater love than if a man lay down his life for another. Now, you're not necessarily laying down your life, you're taking a vaccination, but it is a lot of times for a greater good. I really believe that's true, and it's going to be true with this. So when the vaccine comes out, maybe I'll have more to say about it and its safety and its effectiveness for that vaccination. But the prospect is good for it. And the prospect is until that vaccine is available, we're going to have to take a lot of precautions like we're doing right now.